Thank you for listening to this presentation about Safe to Tell. Is Safe to Tell? Safe to Tell is a statewide tool for students, parents, and community members to anonymously report safety concerns. Safe to Tell was designed to promote early intervention and to protect our schools and communities. Students often know the safety and mental health concerns about their peers before adults, and our goal is to always make sure that students have a place to report those concerns. Safe to Tell is a state-funded program under the Colorado Department of Law. Safe to Tell offices are located in Denver. However, no matter where you live in the state of Colorado, you have access to Safe to Tell. 28 other states across the country have similar programs, like OK to Say Michigan. Safe to Tell was first established in 2004 as a nonprofit as a result of the Columbine High School tragedy. There was a need for a way for students to anonymously report safety concerns. As mentioned before, Safe to Tell is now a state-funded program. Some more recent successes include, in 2021, Senate Bill 2181 broadened exceptions under which anonymity may be lifted in situations involving imminent physical harm or false reporting of an emergency. In 2022, Colorado began requiring that all public school student IDs include contact information for both Safe to Tell and Colorado Crisis Services, which is now the 988 Colorado Mental Health Line. In 2023, it became a requirement for Safe to Tell to offer mandatory annual training for school resource officers. Safe to Tell was founded on the following principles. The principles are to educate, encourage, equip, and empower. The first principle is to educate. Safe to Tell aims to educate the community on the importance of reporting safety concerns. One of the main goals of Safe to Tell is to break the code of silence. What do you think the code of silence is? The code of silence is when students start to keep to themselves. They don't want to talk to the adults and tell them what is happening. For example, a friend told me a secret but made me promise not to say anything. When it comes to safety concerns, Safe to Tell wants to make sure that students always know where they can go and who they can talk to share those safety concerns. Safe to Tell also teaches about the bystander effect from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. The willingness of bystanders to come forward with concerns for the wellness and safety of themselves or others is a key component of student health and violence prevention efforts in kindergarten through 12th grade schools. Throughout each section of this presentation, we will share a Safe to Tell success story. Safe to Tell saves lives. Safe to Tell was working at an event over the summer and stepped away from the booth for just a minute. We came back to this anonymous note. It says, "This program saved my daughter's life. Thank you." Every single day, students are using Safe to Tell to look out for each other in important ways. The next principle is to encourage. The goal is to encourage everyone to play a role in prevention. This quote speaks to the importance of encouraging. According to the National Threat Assessment Center, they found that 77% of the time, someone other than the perpetrator knew about the intended violence and failed to tell anyone. What can be reported to Safe to Tell? Reports can be made about anything that makes students feel unsafe, concerned, worried, or scared. These can be things that are happening at school. They can also be things that are happening outside of school that you want the school to know about. Reports can be made on behalf of a friend, a stranger, and you can also make a self-report. What types of things can be reported to Safe to Tell? Safety concerns can include bullying, fighting, drugs, inappropriate texts, cyberbullying, weapons, stealing, self-harm, school threats, depression, safety concerns about friends, and the list continues. When talking to students about Safe to Tell, we emphasize that the first option is always to talk to a trusted adult. We want students to go to the people in their lives who they feel safe talking to. However, we also know and understand that speaking up and saying something can be really hard. According to a recent Healthy Kids Colorado survey, it was found that less than half of high school students said they would talk to a trusted adult about feeling sad or going through a difficult time. That is why there is an option 2. Safe to Tell is available anytime, any day. Before deciding to make a Safe to Tell report, we always encourage students to ask themselves these questions. Does this impact student safety? Is the goal to protect, prevent, or help? If the answer to these questions is yes, this is about student safety. Yes, this is about protecting, preventing, or helping. Make the report. That is what Safe to Tell is for. If we ask ourselves these questions and the answer is no, this is not about student safety, no, this is not about protecting, preventing, or helping, we have to consider if there is a better place to report the concern. Safe to Tell is a school safety hotline. It is not a school complaint hotline. And here is another success story about a student who had friends looking out for him. The Colorado Attorney General participated in a student-led panel discussion involving school safety issues. One of the panelists shared his own story about his mental health struggles in hopes of helping others. He said, "I was really down, the verge of my limits, and one of the things that really helped was when one of my friends called Safe to Tell. The officers came and it helped me think things through." The student encouraged the participants in the audience to continue to bring more awareness to, if you see something, say something. Next principle is to equip. Safe to Tell equips the community with a direct way to anonymously report safety concerns. Here is the reporting process. Concern, report, investigate, close. We will watch a short video about the process in detail.
How does Safe to Tell work? This is one of the most common misunderstandings about the program, so let's walk through the process step by step. First, a student chooses to report a safety concern to Safe to Tell. They have asked themselves the important questions and determined that their motivation is to protect someone, prevent harm, or help someone in need. You can reach Safe to Tell in 4 ways. Call and speak directly with an analyst, visit safetotell.org, use the free mobile app, or submit a report through our text shortcode. All options allow you to select your preferred language. Please note that the phone number cannot receive text messages. It is for voice calls only. To use the text shortcode, send S2TCO to 738-477. You will receive a link, and you must click that link to complete and submit your report. This is the Safe to Tell website. There are several places where you can click to make a report. This is one of the most important parts of the entire presentation. The first step is selecting the correct school name. Safe to Tell sends reports directly to the school you choose, so it's essential to pick the right one. We often hear from principals who say, "I received a Safe to Tell report, but there wasn't enough information for us to take action." This usually happens when a report is too vague to be useful. For example, a report that says someone feels targeted and the whole school treats them differently than other students. The principal is going to ask who feels targeted. The SRO will ask how are they being treated. This report doesn't provide enough detail for school staff to understand the situation or respond effectively. When making a report, ask yourself these questions. Who are you concerned about? What did you hear or see? Where did it happen? When did it happen? How do you know about it? Here's a report that gives schools the details they need. Angel Garcia feels targeted by Taylor Smith. The bullying is happening in the hallway by the art room between second and third period. Angel is being told he's not allowed in the bathroom. I see this happening every day. Angel needs support in dealing with this harassment. Now the principal will know who to talk to and where the safety concern is happening. Once you click Submit on your report, this window pops up. The part in red is the legal wording that says I am making the report for the right reasons. To protect, prevent, or help, click I agree. This is the next screen you'll see. Click the green bar that says click here to chat live or add additional information. That will start a live chat with a Safe to Tell analyst. If you begin a report before school and need to put your phone away, you can return later to check for follow-up questions. The easiest way to do this is through the app. You'll create a password, which lets you quickly reopen your report and respond to any new questions. This is what the chat box looks like. Safe to Tell includes information for the 988 Colorado Mental Health Hotline on every report. 988 is an excellent resource if you or a friend ever need immediate support. Participating in the chat does not impact your anonymity in any way. Safe to Tell is the messenger. The report is sent to both the school and local law enforcement. Designated school staff, such as the principal, dean, and counselor, work together to determine the appropriate next steps and conduct any necessary investigations. Law enforcement is notified because they operate 24/7 and can receive information at any time. If a report comes in at 11 p.m. and there is an immediate concern for a student's safety, law enforcement can take action. However, if it is something that the school can appropriately address the following day, law enforcement will not respond. Once the school and/or law enforcement complete their investigation, the outcome is documented and the report is officially closed. Sometimes it might feel like nothing happens after you submit a report. Because Safe to Tell is anonymous, we can't update the person who made it, but we can promise that 100% of reports are received and followed up on. If you want updates about your concern, talk to a trusted adult instead of making a report through Safe to Tell.
Is Safe to Tell really anonymous? Safe to Tell is anonymous by state statute. Safe to Tell does not ask for any identifying information when taking reports. Safe to Tell will never call, email, or text message you. The purpose of anonymity is to make sure students feel safe speaking up about safety concerns. Remember, Safe to Tell sends the report to both the school and law enforcement, who then look into the report and tell Safe to Tell the outcome. Safe to Tell will not contact the reporting party to tell them the outcome. If you want follow-up about your concern, it is best to go directly to the school. The last principle is to empower. Safe to Tell empowers those who have the intention to help, prevent, or protect in order to make a difference. Historically, Safe to Tell receives around 30,000 reports a year. We celebrate the fact that 96% of reports are considered valid or actionable. That means that they were submitted with good intentions and for the right reasons. 1% is considered misuse, which just means that a report was made to Safe to Tell about something that should be reported elsewhere. For example, calling to say that your school should have had a snow day. Lastly, 3% of reports are considered false, which does mean they were submitted with false information or meant to be harmful. It does not happen as often as people think it does. This data is determined by the schools when they receive the reports. We are so proud of the Colorado kids who are using the program to keep their schools and friends safe and protected. The valid report category does include both unfounded reports and reports marked with not enough information. To clarify the difference between false and unfounded reports. A false report is proven to have been submitted with false information. An unfounded report is submitted with good intentions. A friend is worried about another friend. Someone heard something concerning on the bus. However, after the investigation, it just turned out to not be a credible threat. We encourage students to speak up in these situations because we don't want them to keep it to themselves and have it turn out to be a serious situation. Just because someone isn't aware of the details of a report doesn't mean the information was inaccurate or that it wasn't thoroughly investigated. Likewise, having a suspicion about who may have submitted a report does not mean that Safe to Tell is not anonymous. Historically, the top 5 report categories include suicide threats, bullying, drugs, safety concerns staff, and self-harm. The majority of reports result in parents being notified, counseling supports being provided, or welfare checks being conducted. The top reporting method is accessing the website through a cell phone. Only about 17% of reporters use the two-way dialogue feature to help the schools get additional information about the safety concern. This is an important part of teaching students about how the program works so that we can hopefully increase this percentage. Like 911 and Crime Stoppers, Safe to Tell isn't a perfect program, but it continues to strengthen each year. By emphasizing how students should use the program, celebrating the ways they help keep one another safe, and addressing misconceptions about false reports, Safe to Tell remains committed to improving its effectiveness and supporting safer school communities. Under the data section on the website, you can find the detailed annual reports, monthly reports, and a data dashboard that is updated every 2 weeks with current data for the state. Cultivating a positive climate for Safe to Tell. How adults speak about Safe to Tell plays a major role in how students view the program. Always take active steps towards maintaining positive attitudes around reporters and encourage students to speak up. Safe to Tell is continuously trying to improve the program to achieve the ultimate goal of keeping students safe. For one final success story, a Safe to Tell report after a suicidal social media post saved a Colorado student's life. The important thing to note about this story is that the person that made the report didn't even really know the person who made the post. They thought it seemed concerning, made the report, and ultimately ended up saving the person's life. You'll never regret making a report if it's for the right reasons. Safe to Tell offers free training for students, teachers, staff, law enforcement, and community members. Training is an important part for the continued success of the program. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation about Safe to Tell.